Join me as I dive into the challenge of whether we run solo or we hire staff in our lawn care business. When you're starting out or even along the journey, it's a challenge to decide which direction to take. It's critical that you analyse both aspects, look at the pros and the cons of both sides. This video I'm going to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of whether you're solo or whether you're employing staff. And later on in the video, I'll tell you what I think the best way to go is for me. G'day viewers, Jeff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Operating a solo business, it can be overwhelming because you have to do everything yourself. You've got to make all the decisions, do all the accounting, all the back office work. You've got to deal with the public, the communications with the customer, and actually do the work. On the other hand, when you employ staff, it's got its challenges as well. You know, you've got to make decisions for your employees, you've got to pay wages, you've got to get them enough work to keep them going, and you've got to deal with the occupational safety. There's a lot of issues to deal with. Solo operator, you've got complete control. You make the decisions quickly and you act on them. You can work when you want to work, you can start when you want to start. You don't have to worry about anybody else but yourself. You've got the advantage of dealing with the client and making sure the work is to the highest standard. You don't have to rely on anybody else to stuff it up. You're in full control. So when you're looking at the solo aspect, it has tremendous advantages. The lifestyle, for example, you might decide to only work 4 days one week, 5 days another week. Having employees, you can't do that. You may want to look at yourself and say, I'm going to go on a holiday. I don't have to worry about rearranging staff, getting in managers. I don't have to worry about the job I'm going to do next week. Are they going to turn up? As a solo operator, you dictate exactly when and where you're going to work and how you're going to work. So it has tremendous advantages of being solo. But the decision making, to make a decision and act on it, and it's done. You don't have to go through a process. And that can be very rewarding. And also solo is rewarding. You've achieved it yourself. And for a lifestyle, it has tremendous advantages. On the other hand, if you're employing people, you've got the ability to grow the business. You can grow it to an extent where you'll financially be very, very rewarding because you can take on so much more work. Having employees allows you to take on more jobs, a wider range of jobs, more complicated jobs, and high-paying jobs. You've got the ability to take on one-off jobs at a drop of a hat, and you can take on larger contracts. So the overall turnover in Australia for a single solo operator is normally around about 100 to 200,000 per annum, depending on how you want to go. Some solo operators can get 300, but it's very, very stressful to get that level. Employing staff, I mean, you can get into the seven figures without a problem at all. So the attraction to create a base of a successful business using staff is certainly an advantage when you do employ staff. Employing staff also has its disadvantages, especially if a business doesn't have a system. With all good businesses, whether it's McDonald's or a lawn care business or any business, you have to have a system in place so that it runs smoothly. Ideally, the system will have your business working without you even being there. You should be able to walk away and that business should still operate if you've got the system. And this is where some of the disadvantages in running a business can occur to some people. If you haven't got the system in place, you're going to find yourself up the old creek. Occupational safety is a big thing. The staff has to be trained, has to be signed off, it has to be written down, procedures, they must be trained because they've got to go home safe. It's all right saying you should be able to mow a lawn, but there's a way to mow a lawn. It's a way to use the mower safely, use the whippersnipper safely. All these aspects must be trained to the staff. When you're employing staff, they're not an extension of our equipment. We don't treat them like we do the mower whippersnipper. Human beings are human beings, and therefore they do not work efficiently 100% for every hour. They don't work 60 minutes in the hour. They work a proportion of that time. There's so much difference. The thing with employees is that they need to be involved in the business. They need to have their challenges. They need to have their boundaries set. Now, a good business will allow you to work off the tools with a good system, and the business will keep running. Everybody's interchangeable. When you have an employee, when you have a setup for mowing, you might have a two-man operation. Those two people will have it down to pat. One will go and mow the lawn, one will do the trimming and edging, and they might alternate so that they all become proficient in all aspects of it. There's a lot of planning. You've got to get the work from them. You've got to continually make sure the work's there. There's a lot of stress involved in managing people. I tried it for a little while, but it didn't suit me. I didn't like it. In my previous employment, I had 100 employees, and there was a lot of stress, and that's why I got out. And when I went into this business, I thought I'd like to grow, and I used employees, but it wasn't for me. But that doesn't matter. What I'm trying to get to is that having staff can be a tremendous advantage, but the disadvantage is there's a lot of things you've got to weigh up. Some of those things I've just mentioned. As you weigh the pros and cons of the solo employees, financial aspects do come into it. You know, as a solo operator, the money that comes in from the work that we do is 80% actually goes into my pocket. But if I have employees, that drops down to about 20 to 30%. I've proven these figures, I've done it before, and I've spoken to a lot of other operators, and they give me the same advice. So that means you can't say that when you're put an extra person on, it's going to double your income. It might take 2 to 3 employees to get to that level. But of course, what it does, having more employees allows you to take on extra work. A lot of bigger type works, bigger profit margins can be achieved. But it's something to consider as a financial aspect. Just because you've got someone else, it doesn't mean it's going to double your income. Be very wary of that. Which way should you go? Well, that's something that's up to you. That's a decision you need to make. What do you need out of your business? Is it a lifestyle? Do you need enough to make some money, good money, spend more time with your family? Or do you want to grow the business? You know, I know a lot of colleagues that I know over the years have grown their business to the extent that they work off the tools. They can actually take a lot of time off because the business runs itself. One guy I know, he actually is retired, but the business still runs. He has enough employees and it's running smoothly, and he just pops in now and again to make sure everything's okay. So he's still taking a great deal of profit from the business, and it's still operating. So it's up to you which way you want to go. Now, personally, I've tried both. I probably didn't try the employee bit as much as probably other people have, but I do prefer the lifestyle. I do prefer to be able to make my own decisions. I do like the way that I can not go to work today, or whether I want to start later or start early. I don't have to worry about anybody else. Having the employees, that's another matter. But it's a vision that you want for your future. If you're starting off young and you want to build, employees is a good way to go and build up a successful company. At the end of the day, you make the decision, but go through the process of weighing up the pros and the cons of each. Have a look at it yourself. Put yourself in that position if I had staff, what it involves. But don't put someone on just for the sake of, I've got a lot of work. Just work through the whole process. Speak to other people that employ employees. I think it's very essential that you understand what's involved. There's a lot of regulatory aspects involved, financial and also occupational and safety things that you need to consider and you need to comply with. Love to hear your comments. What do you do? Do you prefer the single solo operation, the lifestyle, work when you want and still make a good living? Or do you want to be an entrepreneur and grow the business? Are you like that? You want to employ staff? You know, in Australia, probably 80% plus are solo operators. So very small percentage of actual people do employ. So maybe that's got something to say for it. I don't know. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. And again, like to hear your comments on those points I've explained. See you in the next video. Bye.